An 11-year-old boy named Jacob Wetterling was kidnapped from the streets of St. Joseph, Minnesota. The effect on Jacob's family has been obvious, but his kidnapping has also torn the tightly knit social fabric of the entire town. Our last report tonight is from there. Here's ABC's Chris Bury.
The make-believe goblins are in place in this town of under 3,000, but it hardly seems like a holiday. Posters of the abducted boy are reminders of an evil that is all too real. The school bike racks, normally full, were almost empty today because so many parents escorted their children to school. St. Joseph has changed since 11-year-old Jacob Wetterling was abducted near his home a week ago Sunday. He was riding his bike with his brother and a friend when a gunman grabbed him and told the other boys to run. National Guardsmen and police are chasing leads all over Minnesota, but they have found no trace of Jacob. The abduction both troubled and moved the people of St. Joseph, a town so unaccustomed to violent crime that police cannot even remember the last murder here.
For Jacob's abductor, that God may give him the courage to see how wrong he is.
One of Jacob's favorite songs.
Listen, can you hear the sound?
This past Sunday night, 9 o'clock, did you know where your kids were? In St. Joseph, Minnesota, the Wetterling family thought they did. But their 11-year-old son, on his way back from a nearby convenience store, was abducted by a masked gunman. For 4 days, a massive search has been underway.
St. Joseph, Minnesota is the type of town where folks don't bother to lock the front door. A 2-hour drive north of Minneapolis, St. Paul. Here, the police chief doesn't even carry a gun. But now, everything is different. Sunday night, just outside of town, 11-year-old Jacob Wetterling was abducted by a masked man with a gun. It is a crime that will forever change this community.
And this is a real violent act. I don't understand it.
A masked gunman appeared out of nowhere.
We were coming down this road here, and we were just talking and everything, and then this guy just came out and he had a gun, I thought it was some kid pulling a prank on us or something, and then he...
An awful lot just depends on the type of person that we're dealing with that abducted the boy. Some of them keep him around for quite a while, some of them don't.
Despite all the manpower, authorities do not know why the boy was taken. So far, there has not been a demand for ransom. Family has never received any type of threat. Dr. Wetterling is a chiropractor in town, who in this predominantly white, middle-class community, heads up the local chapter of the NAACP. Can you think of any reason anyone would want to harm your family or your son?
Nothing.
I would only say that we really want Jacob back. For Jacob's sake, for our sake, and for everyone's sake. Please, give him back to us.
Listening tonight, Jacob Wetterling, age 11. This was one more day of agony for St. Joseph, Minnesota, population 3,200. The kind of place where you don't expect a child to be kidnapped at gunpoint.
These pictures and the memories are all they have left of Jacob.
This was when he had the broken arm. He just knew his arm wouldn't hurt if he had a puppy.
He was abducted, they think, by a total stranger.
The shirt he was actually wearing.
The rarest kind of kidnapping.
They were lying in the ditches over here. They threw their bikes down.
And then he told me to run off into the woods as fast as I could or else he'd shoot. He told Aaron to do the same thing, and then we ran, and then we cut across the field and came here and then called 911.
The chilling case of a young Minnesota boy kidnapped at gunpoint. It's a story that grabbed national headlines more than 3 decades ago.
It stole the innocence from a small community and really much of this nation. They were frantic, kind of screaming, "Someone took Jacob. There's a man with a gun and he's got Jacob."
A guy wearing a mask took your son.
After Jacob Wetterling, everything changed. As each anniversary went by, year after year, and then nothing would happen, you do start to think this case is never going to be solved.
But when he came under fire, he says he had no choice but to set the record straight.
From the very first words he used, this investigation went, quote, off the rails, end quote. I knew then that this was going to be about making facts fit conclusions. He doesn't really know what we did regarding Heinrich. And I think that he puts that off on the fact that he couldn't read or doesn't remember the FBI documents, which he couldn't release.
On our way back, this guy popped out with a gun, and he said, "I got a gun, stop." And then he told me to turn off my flashlight, and then he told us to get into the ditch and drop our bikes there and lay down.